Hey y'all, Michelle Raza here with the Finding Yourself Book Club, and today we're going to talk about Lindsay Gibson's Recovering from Emotionally Immature Parents. We've gotten all the way through to chapter 8, and so that's where we're going to start today. Going to go over the first part of chapter 8 and then end with an exercise here. This is called The Art of Mental Clearing, Making Room for Your Own Mind. If you like these videos and they provide value to you, please do like and subscribe. It really does help us little YouTubers. And check out my website. I'm at www.findingyourselfsatx.com. There you can take my free life balance questionnaire and submit it for your first free consult. You can also just fill out a contact form and we'll get in touch with you. The first consult is always free and there's no obligation thereafter. Thank you. Y'all, my necklace is too tight. Give me a second. I'm going to loosen it. Okay, I don't know if that's any better or not, but if it's too tight, it'll start dancing. Like when I move my neck, it'll start flipping up and down. Okay. The art of mental clearing, making room for your own mind. If you grew up with EI parents, you may have been made to feel bad if your thoughts didn't agree with theirs. As a result, you might have learned to monitor your thoughts in their presence. Although you may now reject some of their beliefs, you may still be hyper-aware of what they considered acceptable. But it is possible to separate your thoughts from EIP's influence, so your mind is once again free to work for you, serving your own interests and intentions. Mental clearing is the process by which you sort out which thoughts are really yours and which are hand-me-downs from others. When your mind is your own, you are unafraid of other people's judgment and can think objectively. You can tell from a very deep place whether something makes sense or not. When your thinking is clear and validated by your inner experience, it cannot be seduced by false logic or guilt. With an independent mind and emotional autonomy, you can reason freely, even when EIPs insist on telling you what you should think. This ability to think clearly while considering your feelings and inner experiences is the essence of emotional intelligence. So here she talks about how shame and guilt can shut down free thought. And I know in this book I've been skipping over a lot of the stories, but for this sake, I'm going to actually read the story. John's story. Although my client John was an effective professional at work, he had a hard time thinking clearly and decisively around his girlfriend. One day, John realized why he kept censoring his preferences around his girlfriend. When I was growing up, not only did my true thoughts feel shameful, they never felt private to me. They felt dangerous to think because my parents had this little game where they would ask my thoughts on something and then judge them. My thoughts were only acceptable when they reflected my parents' beliefs. Otherwise, they were ridiculed as wrong, weird, or misguided. I tried not to share my thoughts with my parents because they would go immediately into judgment mode, like rubbing their chins and saying, "Now, what do we think of this thought of John's?" I felt their verdict was either, "This is a good thought, we approve," or "Your opinion is worth nothing, you idiot." EI parents see free thought as disloyal. When EI parents teach you in childhood that some ideas are forbidden, it can make you feel guilty about your thought process. Some of my clients remember how stung and ashamed they felt when their parents scolded them with, "Don't even think such a thing," or "How dare you think that?" The message was that they were decent humans only if they saw things from their parents' point of view. Once EIPs convince you to start limiting and rejecting your own thoughts, their mind takes over yours. And in earlier parts of the book, she talks about that. Emotional takeovers, emotional contagion. That's how a baby gets its needs met. And essentially, when someone tries to control your mind or pushes their emotions onto you, they're doing the same thing. Like the way an infant will cry until they get their needs met, the EIPs only want you to think what's acceptable to them. And I don't know, it might have been in one of the pieces that we already covered, but the main thing that Dr. Gibson says, and for you to remember, we may get deeper into it in the next video. I'm sorry. I told you guys I was going to study. I did. I read the whole chapter all over again. And one of the main things she says is, your thoughts are private. They're private to you. Nobody can see what you're thinking. It may be reflected on your face. And if that's the case, then somebody may be able to read what you're thinking. But nobody can actually read your thoughts. So if you practice by, in front of your EIPs, thinking things that they wouldn't approve of, you can put that to the test. They really can't read your thoughts. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I know it's super common sense, but if you grew up with someone telling you, I know what you're thinking, don't even think that, what you're told as a child sticks with you. And as an adult, you can revisit that and you can understand, like, no, nobody knows what I'm thinking. But it takes some time and you have to consciously make that effort. So it's kind of cool that you can just do that in front of them and practice, that they really can't read your thoughts and your thoughts are private to you. Nobody knows your thoughts except you. And they're also not harmful. Your thoughts can't hurt anyone. So your emotions and your feelings are valid. Your thoughts are valid. And just because, like, even if you think of something terrible, that doesn't mean that you did it. So your actions, you have to be accountable for your actions. But you could feel a homicidal rage. As long as you don't actually hurt someone, you're fine. You're fine. And if you can channel negative emotions, thoughts, and feelings in a way that is helpful to you, not harmful, there is nothing wrong with your thoughts at all, ever. No thought or feeling is ever wrong. And you can harness those negative thoughts and feelings to do positive things in your life. It's the actions that we have to be accountable for and careful with, and even your words, because if you say something to someone that hurts them, then you're accountable for those words that you chose to use. But the fact that you're thinking something is not hurting anyone, ever. Here's Ashley's story. Ashley was depressed and exhausted, trying to work in a demanding sales job while responding to her elderly mother's frequent demands from assisted living. Her mother criticized Ashley for not calling her every day and not visiting enough. Ashley felt anger and resentment that her mother was so oblivious to her situation. But she didn't allow herself to set reasonable limits because her guilt-ridden mind kept saying, I'm all she has. Ashley's mother was in a cheerful facility with an active social life, but Ashley irrationally accepted her mother's opinion that Ashley alone should be her first responder. Her mother's demands were like those of a toddler who pushes away other helpers and insists that mommy or daddy should do it. Fortunately, Ashley cleared her mind enough to realize, 1, she was not her mother's parent. 2, her mother was not in a position to dictate who met her needs. And 3, though she monitored her mother's overall care, she could not be at her beck and call while working a full-time job. This clarification of thought was a tremendous relief to her. Ashley also found that she felt less resentful and more interested in her mother's care once she stopped feeling disloyal for even thinking about her own needs. And this makes me think about that old saying of, you cannot serve from an empty cup. So that's why self-care is so important. You want to be there for your parents, your romantic partner, your children, your friends. But if you are there to the point where you're not taking care of yourself, then you can't even be good to them. I mean, how good could she be? Imagine she's resentful. She doesn't want to call her mom. It feels like a chore. She's tired. She's going to have a shorter temper. So by setting up those clear, healthy boundaries and saying, Mom, others can take care of you as well. I will call you as often as I can. Then Ashley will be happy to talk to her mother and provide the care that she can provide without running herself ragged. Because if she's working full time, she has to take care of herself. It's not like her mother can help her now. She has to take care of her family, and she potentially has to take care of her mother. So she in her own life has to balance, what all do I need to prioritize in order to provide the best care for me and also the best care for my mother? Because if I'm running myself ragged, I'm not going to be a good caretaker for my mom either, right? So here, Dr. Gibson goes into a section talking about your EI parents, and they try to tell you what to think. And the point is that in these emotional takeovers, your mind does not become your own. So she has a couple of pictures here, which I think are very important. So this one here is the EI parents' opinions and beliefs. I don't know if it's focused. And then this one is your mind. And so ultimately, you can see your mind is not a full circle. I don't think it's focused on it. I'm sorry. Your mind is not a full circle. It's like a little crescent moon. You don't have your own mind because they're basically telling you what you can think and what you can't think. So we're going to do an exercise here. Look at the second illustration above, the one I just showed you, the mind crescent. So you may want to pause and grab your journal. I'll wait here for you. Let me drink some water and coffee while I wait. I switched. So I was doing chai, and then I love chai, but it's not keto. So then I did keto chai, but it's very caloric. And so then I found this keto coffee that I like. But maybe one day when I reach my weight goals, I can have my non-fatty chai again. Good chai. Okay, so hopefully you have your journal now. What it's like to have your mind limited. Look at the second illustration above, the mind crescent. I'll show it to you again. Hopefully I can get it in focus. This is very hard. Can I get it in focus? I think that's somewhat in focus. I might have to do mirror mode for you to be able to see. You can see the picture anyway, that's what matters. Then write in your journal how it would feel to limit your thinking to such a constricted space. Perhaps you can recall experiences like this when an EIP has dictated what you should think. If so, write those down too. What are the areas that are taboo that your EIPs tell you, don't even think that, don't even go there? What are those? List them. How did it make you feel? How does it make you feel to be so constrained? So that's the end of Dr. Gibson's exercise, but I will add to it here. So you wrote down what the taboo areas are. Okay, now take your journal and start one by one writing and thinking about those areas that are forbidden. Start writing out things that you think, if I said that out loud, I would be criticized and they would say that I was crazy and I'm a terrible person. Just write it out. It doesn't hurt anything to have a thought. And if it's something that you find disgusting, when you're done writing it, rip it up. Maybe that's the best way to clear the thought. It's something that's been haunting you because you keep pushing it away. So write it down. Maybe it's something that you don't find in any way bad, but your EIPs do. And maybe it's something that you find terrible, but you've been thinking about it. That's okay. Don't act on it. Write it down. Rip it up. It is kind of scary, right, to think. Like, let's say, and this is kind of a stupid example, but let's say you're really into serial killer documentaries. I know that's like a thing now, right? Let's say that you're really into that, and then you start thinking, how could I get away with something like that? And then you say, oh, no, never. I could never. I don't even want to think about that. Well, of course you don't want to do that, But for the sake of a thought experiment, you can think whatever you want. That's the point of what she's trying to say here, is that your thoughts and your feelings don't hurt things. Your actions and your words do. So be very careful what you say to people. Be very careful what you do. You want to live your life in a way that it's the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But your thoughts and your feelings can't hurt anyone. And so if you've been made to feel like you shouldn't even think that, really all that's doing is limiting your ability to vent, limiting your own creativity, limiting your expression. So take some time and dive into those taboo thoughts, taboo feelings. Were you always made to feel guilty if you were angry or had any other negative emotion? Take some time, one by one. Don't do it all today, but write down all the things that make you angry. Write them down, put them on paper. What are all those little things that you just can't stand? And write it down and tell yourself, it's okay if I'm angry. I can think whatever I want. I can feel how I feel, and it doesn't hurt me or anyone else. Now, you don't want to dwell in those negative feelings to the point where you stop living your life. But again, that's action-based, right? But ultimately, what you're going to find with Dr. Gibson and anyone else who talks about feelings and emotions is that the more that you push your feelings and emotions away as forbidden, or I shouldn't think that, or I shouldn't feel that way, they just keep coming back, and they come back with a vengeance. So the only way out is through. You need to feel it, and then you can release it. So I know I expanded quite a bit on this exercise, but take some time, maybe watch this video once. When you feel up to it, then do the exercise and then come back to it later. You can do it as many times as you want. I hope y'all are having a great Monday. We're getting closer. Tomorrow's the winter solstice, and one of my friends is having a winter solstice party, so we're real excited about that. It's actually cold here in San Antonio. I think it's because I told you guys that it was warm, and then it got really cold. So I'm going to go check my tire pressure because my tires are probably all out of whack. All right. Y'all take care. Have a great day. Thank you for your comments and for your subscriptions. For those that have chatted with me on the website, I love communicating with you guys, so thanks for that too. Do check out my site, www.findingyourselfsatx.com. Take care, y'all.